Life isn't fair. At least, that's what my parents used to tell me as an explanation for why my brother got into the gifted program while I had to haul 12 tons of coal before sundown. The existence of unfairness adds to the realism of a game, and in that sense, Civilization is the most realistic game ever made. Just in that sense, not by any other criteria that you could possibly imagine. Yes, Civilization is not balanced, and that's something we really feel on any given playthrough. Starting land varies wildly in terms of yields, but also in terms of space to grow. Different factions have very different power levels. And that's just before the game has even begun. After it starts, you have to deal with the hut RNG, and the misfortune of that buttered up scout who stakes out your capital turn 10 and unleashes a horde of tedious barbarians upon you. It doesn't have to be that way. Strategy games can easily have better levels of balance, even if they have asymmetric starts or asymmetric factions. But in a lot of ways, poor balance keeps the game fresh and gives it its identity. So today, I'm going to break down for you why balance is good, why it's bad, and I've got some ideas for related changes that could mix things up, without taking away what makes Civ special. The first reason I've seen given for Civ's lack of balance is realism. That is, as I said so eloquently in the intro, reality is not equal. And, much to the disappointment of my ex-girlfriend, reality is sadly the world that we live in. So that means we need a world populated by a variety of weak and strong civs to make it seem more like Earth. Now, I don't think starting RNG is essential for achieving this. It should happen organically over the course of the game, and games with a lot more focus on replicating history have still cooked the books for the sake of balance, without ruining the historical flavor. For example, Medieval Total War II actually modified and distorted the historical map just to gimp factions like England and the HRE. If Medieval Total War can do it, surely we can have one Civ game with a more dedicated effort to balance the start locations, right? That wouldn't be too bad. Well, that game exists. It's Civ 7. Check out this chart for the yields of tiles and their improvements. A city will have resources too, but each one only gives one single point increase in a single yield type. Mostly, things are pretty homogenized. So there's less variation in yields from the land, and it's hard to tell what is good. Mostly I just want to be left alone, so I guess good land is when you spawn far away from your rivals then? That should do the trick, because Civ 7 is, of course, not the type of game where the AI would walk halfway across the map just to piss in the bowl of Cheerios that is your unbothered expansion phase. Right? No, of course, they totally do that. So yeah, feeling like you're off to a good start in Civilization 7 is harder to achieve. One very good reason for making the game unbalanced is land variety. The idea is, players have to adopt different playstyles if they have peninsular starts, or tundra starts, floodplain starts, or if they start in the hilly highlands. These starts lead to some interesting and unique decision-making, but it would be ridiculous for all of these land types to have the same power in terms of yield output. Maybe plains should be on par with grassland, but tundra should not. On average, but this doesn't apply to start locations. I do think it's reasonable to spawn the Tundra Civ in that one area in the tundra that's stacked with fish, furs, and deer, while giving more modest grassland starts to the rivals. That's a little trickier, but with modern map generation, we do have the technology. Okay, maybe not modern map gen, but with map generation that's 10 years old, we do have the technology. A third reason for poor balance in Civilization is variety in player challenge level. This is totally valid. I love playing bad land challenges. Weak starts force unique decision-making in a way that turning up the difficulty level simply doesn't. My one counter-argument here would be that it could apply to any game, not just Civ, but I've never seen anyone suggest playing like a competitive RTS, where the food a player starts with is subject to big fluctuations from, "Hey, what are you doing there? No, that's my boar, you stupid scout. Come back here." The final reason why balance is bad is the nail in the coffin, and that's that it's simply not as exciting for the game to be balanced. Rolling a god start feels amazing. It gives you something to talk about. And it's fun to roll awful starts and have something to complain about too. If starts are too balanced, you roughly know what to expect, and that is worse. Like, a lot of my best streams and a lot of very high-ranking Reddit posts are either very good starts or unplayably bad starts. Nobody's making the soyjack face over starting locations in the StarCraft subreddit because pretty much every single StarCraft start is exactly the same. This applies to faction balance too. Fans of strategy games genuinely seem to love what I call the Heroes 3 philosophy of faction balance, where no faction is overpowered if all of them are. If you mess up the numbers and one faction ends up on top or very weak, at least you've created something cool. Venice from Civ 5 is pretty obviously bad, but people love Venice because it is bad in a way that is interesting and unique. Monarchy from Civ 3 is a counterexample. It's not unique and bad, it's just bad and bad. There's nothing fun or special about it that makes it better to play than the clearly superior alternative governments. So, all of these reasons are pretty convincing. What is the best case in favor of balance in Civilization? Well, it's essential for multiplayer, full stop. Civ games are long, it's rough committing that much time for weak land. Civ is snowbally, so differences in yields early game quickly compound into something bigger. That's about it. So all of this puts us into a weird spot. There are a couple solid advantages to increasing or adjusting balance, but at the same time, randomness and imbalance is what allows Civ to be as special as it is. Like in Heroes 3, you have random maps, but with predetermined nodes for each zone. Everyone spawns with an ore mine and a lumber mill with the same level of creature guarding them. Things are random within a preset, balanced template. It's a neat system, but I just don't think that level of predictability would be beneficial for single-player Civ. We need janky, dysfunctional starts and Civs for the game to feel right. So what should we even do? Well, the first option would be to have a balanced start option. Something like BBM for Civ 6, just as a choice in game setup. It's similar to the way that quick and online speed games exist. Essential for multiplayer, it's nice as an option for everyone else, but it's not the intended way to play the game. We should not aim to remove bad starts and bad land. We should aim instead to have more ways of dealing with bad starts and bad land. That's how it should be. Bad starts are essential for a great game. Lean into it. On a technical level, the existence of the Petra Wonder improves your prospects when you have weak desert starts. To a certain extent, this increases balance and decreases realism, so as a result, this wonder was of course met by a furious outcry from absolutely no one. People love this wonder, and in fact, it's probably one of the most discussed and celebrated wonders in the whole series. This is how it should be. Give players more reasons to enjoy having bad land. They will rejoice in the excuse to go find some crazy corner case strategy, even if it's weaker than just playing with normal quality land and going for a normal build. We just want to feel special. And while it's too late for us to be led into the Gifted program alongside our best friend and avoid the crushing emotional weight of abandonment that was ultimately the direct result of us just not being good enough, we can still... Lady Six Guy. Coliseum. That's right. And the best thing about niche targeted rewards for otherwise weak starts is that designers can kill two birds with one stone. Just look at real-life civilizations that spawned in bad land and figure out how they made it strong. So for example, Arabia had desert folklore, which is a very strong pantheon from Civilization 6. Polynesian people built the Maui statues, which is very strong for peninsular and island starts in Civ 4, but we can go further than that. 5 years ago, when I was designing a multiplayer mod for Civ 3, as I so often do, I wanted to make starts more balanced. Changes to land and resources get you only so far, so I made one government with no distance corruption, and the ability to airdrop their settlers. That's right, in my mod, if you don't like your land, it is your God-given right to fuck off and go play the game somewhere else. Sadly, unless you're building an Avatar The Last Airbender fan mod, and if you are, hit me up, that sounds sick as hell, but barring that, having air nomads just doesn't make much sense. But having regular nomads totally does make sense. Plenty of groups throughout history are famous for just screwing off and going somewhere else. The Huns, the Polynesians, the Massagetai, the Vikings? The ultimate solution to starts with weak land or limited space would be the ability to pack up our bags and play nomadically. Let us harvest yields while our people are in motion. We can develop culture, religion, production, and food in ways that make sense for nomads to just take with them on the road. They already kind of did that with Kupe and Civ 6. Just make them a bit stronger while they're in motion, include a variation that moves over land, and open up the ability to more civs. This would have to be handled delicately, because if the AI nomads show up randomly and plant their capital 5 tiles from yours, that would drive us insane. In a game like Rome Total War, Barbarian Invasion, with a similar mechanic, getting your people way up in the enemy's face is kind of the point of the scenario, but in Civ, it's not as good of a tonal fit. So I'd say give nomads a pretty high minimum plant distance from rival nations. If executed correctly, this could make having bad land the best opportunity, not for necessarily the strongest games, but at least for the funnest games. It doesn't have to be specifically that, but the point remains the same. Poor balance is one of Civilization's greatest strengths. To keep making great games in the franchise, they need to lean into that, the way that they did for Civ 5 and 6, not shy away from it like they did a bit with Civ 7. Find more ways to make imbalance fun. All of this was intentional. In an interview, Ed Beach, lead developer of Civilization 6 and Civ 5 Brave New World, explained pretty clearly that he felt variety forces players to break out of narrow play patterns. He said, "We liked that our fans had done so much work analyzing these strategies, but we didn't like that there were clearly identifiable patterns that you didn't have to break out of, and that you could follow those through every single game. We wanted players to have to think on their feet more. We wanted players to have to come up with brand new, untried strategies, to have to react to situations that they might be faced with in Civilization 6. Or to put that another way, to make players play the map that they're given." That's all for today, everybody. If you want my take on combat in the franchise, check out this video right here. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.